Leslie here this week with Parenting Paused. Someone asked me this week, they were like, why do you do this? Why do you do what you do? And I said, because I just love it. Right? It brings me such happiness to be able to share with you whatever my examinations have brought forth. And I totally support you in finding your own inquiry, your own examinations. Don't take my word for it. I'm sharing with you what I found as I dove deep into my own psyche and my own childhood and how I came out on this side. And yet I always encourage everyone to take the time. Give yourself time, have a practice. In Pure Joy, we use the sacred seat practice and the safe seat practice. If you don't have a copy of the safe seat practice, go over to my website and you can get a 5-day free download of that. That became my place of inquiry. So instead of just acting out, which I was doing a lot early on, I was getting emotionally tagged all the time, not all the time, but a lot of time in my parenting. And I was in my very young strategies of either withdrawing love and running out of the room or attacking, and trying to shame and control my daughter. Of course, I didn't like that. I didn't want to be doing that. I had made a commitment to parent in a different way. And yet I had to go inside and examine where were those behaviors coming from. It wasn't that I needed to get my daughter to change or to change the way I parented. I had to change the way I talked to myself, the way I saw myself. And that was the most challenging part. It can still be the most challenging part because some of the ways I motivated myself was to beat myself up. As a child, I needed to be perfect. I lived in an alcoholic home, and my mother was always finding things wrong. I would clean the house, she'd pick up the rug and show me the dirt. It just didn't matter. And the truth was it had nothing to do with me. But of course, as a child, I was the center of the universe. And, I thought I had the power to stop my mom from drinking. So I thought, oh man, if I have this power, I got to be more perfect. I got to clean. I got to make sure everything is okay. And when I wasn't and I didn't, my mom would rage, and she would rage like crazy. So I internalized that raging voice to motivate myself to do things. And you might have one of those voices too. You might have a very internal critical voice. You may have a raging voice, a shaming voice. Remember, all of these were just strategies to most likely get you to behave in a way that helps you feel safe in your home. And as crazy as that sounds, to rage against myself so that I will try to be perfect, that was a healthy strategy as a child because that helped me survive my childhood. And also it grew something amazing in me. I mean, there were great benefit to actually being in that environment where I could learn to grow myself, where I could learn to stand up for myself. So even when I look back, I don't take that victim stance. Even if you look back and you might have had a really challenging and hard childhood, I sure did. And yet I found when I got stuck there and I stepped into that victim role that I could not move forward and I could never be the parent that I wanted to be. Because of course, you can imagine I had a daughter that raged. That was what I got in my parenting because that was still playing out in my world. I still needed that external mirror out there to motivate me so that I could beat myself up to try to be more perfect. It wasn't okay for me not to be a perfect mom. I didn't adopt my daughter till later in life, and I thought I was prepared, and I was determined that I was going to do this one perfectly. Maybe I couldn't do childhood perfectly, but I was going to be a perfect mom. So again, there I met rage again, but it was always outside. And then one day I had this amazing experience that maybe I'll tell you about someday, but I actually realized that rage that I was seeing and locating outside in my daughter actually lived inside of me. And I had a raging voice, as I said, that was trying so hard to get me to be perfect because I thought then I would be okay. But let me tell you, that never happened. So I see my rage now as the great awakener. Every time I feel my rage, I just pause and I start to turn back in and ask myself, where am I trying to be perfect? Where do I think I have power and control where I don't? I never had that power and control to stop my mom from drinking. And yet as a child, I had to believe that that was true to survive that situation. Well, you can see how there had to be some benefits to that. You can imagine how I began to go deeply inside to examine who I am. I wouldn't be sitting here today talking to you, being a parent coach, doing what I do, if I hadn't been in that childhood where I was always questioning. So it turned for me from beating myself up and raging to examining my internal experience and then being able to sit with you to support you in examining what is going on. And that was the benefit of having those things happen in my childhood, was I became super duper interested. I had this void, and my highest value then began to understand myself, to understand others, and to share my experiences. So I just want to give you that. I know it's kind of hard, but anything that you're seeing on the outside, if your child is exhibiting a behavior that's really painful for you, instead of trying to control it, instead of controlling my daughter's rage, which I really, really tried to do, I went back inside and asked myself, where was I not meeting my rage? And where was my rage so that I could enter into it? All right, lovies. So if you like this podcast, please make sure to leave us a little, testimony or a review so that other parents can come on over, check out Parenting Pure Joy, Parenting and Parenting Paused. Keep giving me the chance to do what I love. And thank you so much for being here, listening to Parenting Paused. Thank you for listening to this episode of Parenting Paused. If you enjoyed the episode, do me a favor and share it with your mama friends. You can also leave a review wherever you listen, which will support getting the Pure Joy message out. Come on over to the Pure Joy Parenting Practice Facebook page or join me on Instagram to hear more. And don't forget to download your free copy of the Safe Seat course on the Pure Joy website. And while there, check out the offerings page to go deeper in the Pure Joy work.